afternoon, and welcome to the Comet's Ask the Planner session for March 2021. Today, we'll answer your questions, and you will hear from our Executive Director and CEO, John Ando, and our Planning and Development Specialist, Eric Harris. So we're going to start with a little bit of conversation, and feel free to type in your questions, and we'll be happy to answer you. I'm Pam Bino-Reed. I'm the Director of Marketing and Community Affairs for the Comet. We're happy to have you here today.
Well, I guess I'll go ahead and get started. Again, I'm Eric Harris. I'm the Planning and Development Specialist here with the Comet. We wanted to do a Meet the Planner to be able to engage more so with the community. We want to understand where you guys, what you are seeing, and be able to address your needs and modify. I guess you can say we can look at service and see what we can do to improve. So at this time, feel free to ask any questions that you may have, and I'll yield the floor to John Ando so he can formally introduce himself as well.
Top of the afternoon, everybody. I'm John Ando, and I'm the Executive Director here at the Comet, and we appreciate you taking the time to watch us, and we just hope we can answer any questions that you may have about the Comet service. One thing I would like to talk about briefly is I understand that we have some service challenges that are occurring on the street, and I know that's some of the concerns that we've heard from many of our passengers. And I want to assure you that we are working very hard to resolve those service issues so that we can be providing 100% service to you, which is what you expect from the Comet. And so the feedback that you can give to us in relation to routes you use, why you use those routes, when you use those routes, and are those routes working would be helpful in us as we plan and present recommendations to the Comet Board of Directors on how service levels should be today and into the future.
I'll even go a little further and say if you have any issues with bus stops, if you believe that we should prioritize a location for an improvement, we can take that into consideration to see if we can enhance amenities such as providing a trash can. We can look at providing a bench or a shelter. But that information definitely will be taken into account. Again, we're happy to receive your feedback.
Someone would like to know, is there a plan to do the 801 every 30 minutes?
The 801 is currently on a 30-minute headway. Currently, because at this time, because we're having some service issues, there's a shortage of drivers, and so we're trying our best again to address that concern as much as we can. So at given points of the day, you may see an hour headway, but we're taking strides to make sure that we can provide a reliable service whenever you need that service.
Let me add to that. Presently, the 801 runs every 30 minutes in the peak period and every hour on the midday and on weekends. And 801's ridership has been growing, and we're definitely monitoring that so that ultimately we can look at adding 30-minute service all day on the 801 versus having this peak versus midday approach that we have today. A lot of it is funding driven and productivity driven. So as more people continue to come back to the Comet as things start to open up more, that helps us in determining if we should run the 801 every 30 minutes like we do with some of our other major corridor routes all day long.
Thank you. Brittany Loman wants to know, is the bus running fare-free all year long?
I can take this one. I can take in relation to the fare-free, we are running fare-free today. However, the Board of Directors on March 24 will be considering restoration of fares to take effect on April 12th. Should the board approve restoration of fares on April 12th, we will put notices out on March 25th advising the community that fares will be returning. You may notice that we've installed barriers on all the buses so the drivers and the passengers could be physically separated, which can allow for the resumption of fare collection through the front doors. But we're hopeful that over the past year of providing this fare-free opportunity at least has allowed you to save income so that you can take care of the most necessary needs of life, so that during that trying times that we were faced with last year.
Susan Smith wants to know, is there a plan for the Comet to come into Lexington?
Well,
I can take that. Yeah, so as it stands, we do have routes that go into the West Columbia and Lexington area. Far as in route expansion at this time, we are going through Reimagine the Comet, where we're taking a look at all of our routes and trying to figure out where we are seeing not only demand for more riders, more routes and more service. I apologize. We're looking at areas that demand more service, but we're also looking at coverage options as well. And so as we start to receive feedback for where that demand is, we would take that and bring that information to our board and also to our consultant on the project and see what we can do to figure out how to move forward.
I do also want to add to that we do presently have Route 97 that goes directly into the town of Lexington every Thursday. And we're monitoring the performance of Route 97. Lexington County transit services are funded differently than Richland County transit services. So in order for us to provide more service, if it's specifically the town of Lexington, we would need to engage the town of Lexington on how they're going to compensate the Comet for providing that additional service into their town.
Can you list the other routes that serve Lexington County?
I am currently trying to pull them up. Let's see.
Again, I can take on that one. We have Route 91, which primarily serves Comet Central via Knott's Abbott to Columbia Metropolitan Airport through Springdale and Casey. We have Route 92X that goes from Comet Central via the 12th Street extension to Amazon and Nephron. We have Route 93 that goes from Comet Central via I-26 to Ballantyne, Chapin, Little Mountain, and Newberry. We have Route 96L, which does a local circulator service within West Columbia and Casey. We have Soda Cap Connector Route 1, which goes from downtown Main Street via the Vista to West Columbia and Casey. We have the 83L, which travels from Dutch Square Center via St. Andrews to Midlands Tech Harbison campus. And then lastly, we have the 801, which goes from Comet Central up Broad River to Harbison Superstop, which is at the Walmart store in the Columbia portion of Lexington County.
Thank you. Kim Yvette Brown wants to know, when will Route 4 return to service? That's the orbit, correct?
Yeah, is that route not running right now?
That route should be running. Yeah, so Orbit 4, again, we're having some service issues, so there are given points of the day where that route is being suspended at this time. But there, with all intentions, we plan to restore service to normal, I guess you can call it normalcy, within the next 30 days or so, as information has been presented to the Comet, and we are hoping to get it rectified as soon as possible.
Thank you. Eric Q wants to know, when will the Ufsc service be evaluated? He says, I think that funding would be better served for 96L and 91.
So Ufsc Transit, which is a service of the Comet, is funded differently than the rest of the Comet service. The first thing about Ufsc Transit is that it's 100% paid for by the University of South Carolina. So we're not using any Richland County transportation penny funds for the service, nor are we using funding from the Lexington County communities of Casey, West Columbia, Springdale, Lexington County, Chapin, Batesburg, Leesville, or Springdale to subsidize that service. So the Ufsc Transit service is solely dictated by the university on how those routes operated. and they are planning on studying that service sometime next year on how they can optimize that service. However, any changes made to U of SC Transit is going to be solely dictated by the university and not by the Comet, and the funding sources cannot be commingled. So we can't use university money to pay for additional services on 96L. We would have to have communications with the city of West Columbia and the city of Casey in relation to increasing their funding if they would like to spend more money on Route 96L.
Thank you. Marlene Miller says, we need a bus going to Clemson Road.
I believe Route 57L goes to Clemson Road. Route 57L starts at Midlands Tech College Northeast, travels up I-77, and travels primarily on Clemson Road all the way to the village at Sand Hill Superstop. That service runs Monday through Saturday.
Thank you. So Walter Durst asks, could you look at a route down Lake Murray Boulevard across from the dam to Lexington if their council approves to allow riders to access the lake and also serve the apartments along the way?
Yeah, we absolutely can look into that. We're currently looking into on-demand options as well, headed into the Irmo area, which is headed towards the Lexington area, right there on Lake Murray Dam. So as we start to look at those boundaries, we can take that into consideration. And equally, if there's community interest, we can get with elected officials and see what we can do about providing a trail service.
Thank you.
Here, you can talk a little bit about where we are with Reimagine the Comet and our next
Absolutely.
steps.
Absolutely. So, yeah, looking at Reimagine the Comet, again, this is our opportunity to look at our entire service system to see how we can improve service going forward. So we're looking at 3 different options. So we're looking at our current level of service, we're looking at a coverage option, and also we're looking at a ridership option. Where we're placing routes, and if I were to go down the list, if we're looking at a coverage option, that means we're putting service in areas, as many areas as possible. If we're looking at ridership as our priority, that means we're only going to put routes in areas that people are going to use them. So you may see an increase in frequency, 30-minute headways on routes that may not have normally had a 30-minute headway. But as we start to look at this, we will try to bridge the gap between both options to see what we can find as the most optimal solution in order to satisfy the needs of the community. Currently, right now, with our board of directors, we're in the process of getting ready to present information to them and taking recommendations. At this point, we've reached out to the public. We've set out in front of Comet Central. And also some of our super stops, and we received feedback from many of our riders. And at this point, our consultants on this project, they have generated some ideas of what it may look like, but we just want to go through the practices of receiving feedback from the people that govern the Comet in our service, which is our board of directors. And as we get to the final stages, we present this information to the public. That way you guys can give additional feedback and we can go ahead and implement service. Tentatively, we're looking at a August or September deadline for a turnaround. So we have a little wiggle room there. So if you'd like to provide feedback, still go ahead and bring that in. You can email me at nharris@thecomet.sc.gov.
Let's talk about the website.
Oh, and the website is reimaginethecomet.org.
So Marlene Miller, who asked the question about the Clemson Road service, says that She wants you to know it does not run on the side of Clemson near exit 80, which is closer to I-20. So it stops at Sand Hills? Okay.
Yep, so again, we're looking into microtransit options, and this is one of the areas that we can explore some options there. And the microtransit option, just to make sense of it, like Uber and Lyft, you'll be able to utilize your mobile phone and you can request a trip, and a bus will be able to take you to the destination that is within your service zone. So we're looking at options in all of these areas. So we're definitely taking your feedback into consideration.
Okay, Blake Gibbons says, when will I be able to track my bus like I used to be able to with Transload?
Yes, so we currently have the Transit app. This is something that we're really excited about. You can just download the Transit app and you can see all the routes that we are currently operating. Equally, you will be able to better track your buses within the next, I'd say next 30 days. There we go. It's going to give it 2 weeks, but yeah, around 30 days where we are installing a new system that will increase our performance and our on-time performance and our level of productivity, and making sure that we are getting you to the central locations that you need to get to.
Charles D. Gossett wants us to know that he really likes the increase in amenities at the stops.
Thank you. We definitely encourage you to continuously reach out as much as you possibly can and make recommendations for where you believe an amenity should go. We want to be able to provide those things to you. A lot of times we're looking at many different scenarios where we would have a customer reach out, but we're also looking at a metric where, depending on how many riders are using a bus stop, we can provide that service as well. Whether that is a bench or bus shelter that's 12 feet or a 16-foot bus shelter. We're looking into all of those things. So your feedback again there is definitely being taken into consideration. I'm happy that you're enjoying what we're putting out to the public.
Why don't you talk about the next set of shelters that are getting installed?
Absolutely. So as it stands, we are in the process of installing around 20 or so shelters within the next 30, I guess you could say 30 days or so. And we're really excited about that. And most of those shelters are going in the downtown urbanized area. We're also looking at providing shelters in the Lexington area as well. And I can specify some of those locations if, Pete, go ahead. All right, let me just bring up the document here. Yep, so we're looking at Hardin and Taylor. We also have Assembly and Floral, Divine and Millwood, Gardners and Dorn, Divine and Height, Divine and Queen. We got Buckner Court, westbound, Blossom and Gadsden, westbound, Farrell Gateway, southbound, Hayward and Coral, southbound, Forest, 4840, which is eastbound route. Fashion and Farm westbound, Assembly and College northbound, Gardners and Patterson westbound, Williams and Kmart Superstop. So I know a lot of people are really going to be excited about that one. Hewlin and East Hospital eastbound, Frank and Forum westbound, Julius Felder and Frank southbound, and Boston Campus westbound.
So Marlene Miller wants to note that shelters and benches are needed at the Superstop at Dutch Square Mall.
So I'm going to talk briefly about that one. We've attempted to try to build more benches and shelters at Dutch Square Mall. Unfortunately, we don't have the right-of-way in order to build additional bus shelters or benches on Bakersfield Road at the Superstop. That's why we only were able to get a bench and a shelter on Broad River next to the McDonald's. So until the property owner would give us the ability to get some right-of-way from their property, unfortunately, I don't envision anything beyond the bus stop sign being placed at that Superstop.
Can you give a brief high level of coverage versus ridership on Reimagine the Comet?
Absolutely. So again, when we're looking at the coverage option, we are putting service out as far as we possibly can, that we have the liberty to put it out. So we want to make sure that everyone has access to the transit services. If we're looking at more of a ridership alternative, that means we're only going to put we're only going to put service in locations where passengers are going to use them the most. And we have ridership data to show us that information. But because we understand that there is no set answer, whether it's the ridership alternative or the coverage alternative, what we want to do is figure out ways to merge the two together in order to provide the most optimal service that the public is looking for. And to explain it in another way as well, when you're looking at the coverage option, you will see a decrease in headways, where you may see a route that is only operating every hour, opposed to in a more ridership alternative, you will see routes that may operate with 30-minute headways. So,
Or even some cases 15.
15, absolutely. So just looking at those three things, 15, 30 an hour, that definitely shifts the gears a little bit in how many routes we will have that will provide that level of service. But again, we want to provide the service to the areas that we know for a fact that not only riders want to use the transit services, but we also want to make sure that everyone has access. We don't want to leave anyone behind through this process.
Thank you for that. So Eric Q says the transit app doesn't appear to work. Can you talk about what the transit app is able to do?
So right now, the transit app is only going to give you scheduled information. Once strategic mapping, that's the new system that we're installing on the buses as we speak. Once that goes live, you'll be able to get real-time information from transit app. You'll also be able to get real-time information from Google Maps, Apple Maps, Bing Maps, Move It, and any other third-party application that can read what is called GTFS-RT. So hopefully in the next 30 days, we'll have that system live, and we can give you real-time information versus static scheduled information.
Thank you. So Charles Gossett says, in the future, and that's after COVID and everything else, do you think we might see bus lanes and possibly transit signal priority in our most congested areas?
I think it's a great long-term vision. It's definitely going to require us to engage our member governments on how to incorporate those type of transit priority treatments into their roadway and ultimately their circulation plans. That'll also require, since as you know, most of the roads are owned by SCDOT, will definitely require SCDOT's involvement and more likely a change in philosophy to make that happen. Charleston is definitely leading the way in that effort, and we're definitely monitoring what's going on in Charleston, and hopefully we can replicate those opportunities here in the Columbia urbanized area. That's definitely a good long-term goal to have for us.
Thank you. So Charles Gossett says he likes that the lights seem to work regularly in the newest shelters. And he also said he heard a lot of Lexington County stops for the coming amenities. Is Lexington County paying for those?
Yes, we got what is called a Community Development Block Grant from Lexington County, and the acronym is CDBG. Those funds are generally to help provide access for people who are low income. So these shelters that are being put into Lexington County is coming through those funds, and they're also in low income areas where we're expecting to have some high transit demand.
Eric, thank you. Eric Q says that he looked at the previous minutes, and it looked like the Comet does have police officers riding for the protection of the riders. However, he says he never sees them. Is the service suspended?
No, the service is not suspended. We have officers from City of Columbia, Richland County, and City of Casey. City of Casey right now is following the buses. Richland County Sheriff and City of Columbia are riding buses on a random basis. And you can expect an officer anywhere in the transit system between 6 a.m. and 6 p.m. 7 days a week.
Thank you. So this is a question that was asked earlier in our broadcast, but there were some people who missed it. So can you talk about if and when fares would be reinstated?
Yes, so fares are, depending on the direction from the Board of Directors on March 24th, fares could be reinstated as early as April 12th. And that'll be on all routes in the system, DART, Ufsc Transit, and also the Soda Cap connector. But that's a decision that the Board of Directors will make on March 24th.
Thank you. So Marlene Miller says that the seats and the shelter on Broad River Road is always being used by panhandlers, and the people waiting on the buses can't use it. Can you address that?
Yes, we will talk with Richland County Sheriff to go visit that stop and do random patrols in that area so that those seats can remain free. So thank you for bringing that to our attention.
And she's saying specifically the one at the McDonald's.
Okay. Actually, let me ask this. Is this the McDonald's at Broad River and Bakersfield? Or is this further up on Broad River?
Wait for the answer on that one. The McDonald's, it's only one McDonald's on Broad River, correct? Yeah.
Yeah.
I believe so.
Okay, if
It's
it's the one at
Bakersfield.
Broad River and Bakersfield,
Yeah.
then we'll talk to City of Columbia in that
Okay.
case.
Okay. As always, we're here to answer your questions. And we will be here until 6:30.
And I guess for those that are still online right now, I can talk about the pickup program in V-Trip. So our V-Trip is our volunteer transportation for seniors and persons with disabilities. And this is a way to subsidize the service in this area. So by finding a friend to transport the person to where they need to go at 50 cents per mile, up to 100 miles per month. So did I explain that well, John?
You did.
Okay, all right, so, and so looking at the pickup program, is for seniors and persons with disabilities using a $50 card each month for subsidized trips via taxi, Lyft, and Uber.
Very good, thank you. Thank you. So Eric Q wants to know a little bit more about the new tracking system that we're going to be using. And will customer service have access to that for people who call in with questions about the bus and when it's going to arrive and different things?
Absolutely. This has definitely been an ongoing discussion. Definitely customer service will have that information. So when you call in, your level of service that you receive should increase. And this will also be integrated with transit. Again, you'll be able to see on time, the bus movement in real time, and you can expect the routes to get to your essential locations when you need it.
Okay. So this is two people have asked this question. One person said, will we be able to eat and drink on the bus again? And can they drink water? And then another person said, technically, could you ever eat or drink on the bus? I didn't think you could. So it seems to be a little bit of,
So, what's going on with eating and drinking? President Biden signed an executive order on January 20th, requiring all surface transportation passengers to wear a mask continuously while riding surface transportation. To ensure that the drivers are not having to police people with masks, and we've gotten many complaints about this, we've temporarily suspended eating and drinking on the buses. So that includes drinking water. We are hoping that as people get vaccinated, and as you know, we have a vaccination program called Don't Miss Your Shot. So hopefully you'll consider getting vaccinated, and the president relaxes that executive order, then yes, we will resume allowing people to eat and drink on the bus. But until then, yes, it's going to be suspended as long as the president has the executive order for wearing masks on surface transportation vehicles, such as the Comet.
Walter Durst wants to know when the fares are reinstated, will that apply to DART too?
Yes.
However, for Don't Miss Your Shot.
And so for the Don't Miss Your Shot program, if you want to get vaccination transportation, you just simply need to show proof that you have an appointment, and you'll be able to get free access on the Comet to get to your appointment, or free access on DART as well.
Thank you. So this is a question from Eric Hugh, and he says he's been told that DART service cannot come into West Columbia before 9 a.m. even though 96, okay, what's to say here? Okay, why am I told that DART service cannot come before 9 a.m. even though 96L begins at 6 a.m.?
That is not accurate. DART service follows the bus route. So the bus route starts at 6, DART service starts at 6. If you've been told of this after February 8th of 2021, I would encourage you to reach out to me so that we can investigate that and get this matter corrected with our contractor in relation to making sure that DART service is following the bus route.
Thank you. We have another question. Is the transit app replacing the official Comet app, or will they be used together in conjunction? Will I be able to purchase passes on either app?
Yes, you will be able to purchase passes on the transit app or the Catch the Comet app. The Catch the Comet app will link back to the transit app if you want to get real-time transit information. But you could use either app interchangeably for getting a bus pass or getting real-time transit information.
Thank you. Another question. Do Ufsc students get to ride the Comet for free or just Ufsc transit?
Ufsc students can only ride Ufsc transit for free. They cannot ride the Comet for free, and regular fares would apply for Ufsc students, employees, faculty, or other affiliates that are using a Carolina card.
Thank you. So again, we are here to answer your questions. We're here until 6:30 today for Ask the Planner with Eric and John.
Also would like to mention that it was one other location for a bus stop that I left out, which was Knox and 9th westbound. We have plans to install a 12-foot shelter there and a 6-foot bench.
Okay. So just confirming, Mr. Gossett says that in response to the question about DART and the information that was incorrect, he is saying that in order to investigate, we're going to need specific details. Hence the reason that we should call.
That is correct, yes. Because we need to make sure that we're giving the most accurate information consistent with the system's policies and procedures.
Yes. Great. So Mr. Dirk says, do you now or in the future foresee refillable fare cards?
We will be, should fares resume on April 12th, we will begin selling what is called Comet cards. Comet card, and I'll show you what Comet card looks like, is basically a smart card, and it would basically allow you to put your bus pass on this card, or you can put money on this card, and it can actually pay for your bus fares. And then you can also tap this Comet card on the fare box, and it'll automatically process your fares as the typical mag stripe cards do. So these cards will cost $5, and they will be refillable.
Okay. So Mr. Q says, can affiliates of Ufsc ride the Ufsc transit buses? He's speaking specifically about Aramark employees.
As long as Aramark employees have a Carolina card, then yes. If not, then no. But you can transfer for free from the Comet routes to U of SC Transit. So if you ride Comet service to the university and then need U of SC Transit, just make sure you ask the driver for a transfer or use your Comet card to get that free transfer.
Thank you for clarifying that. Another question about U of SC Transit. A student asked, to ride U of SC Transit, do I just swipe my Carolina card at the fare box when fares are resumed?
That is correct. And the fare box will be able to read your Carolina card with no problem.
Another question. Can the general public ride U of SC Transit?
Yes. U of SC Transit's open to everybody, no restrictions. But just remember that if you are not a U of SC affiliate with the Carolina card, you would be required to pay a fare on U of SC Transit as you would on the Comet. And Comet passes will work on U of SC Transit.
Thank you. Okay, Mr. Gossett asks, will you be able to refill the tap cards from an app or the Comet webpage?
Not at the present time. You can only refill the Comet card at Comet Central. However, we are going to evaluate opportunities to allow for mobile access to refilling the card. For those that want the electronic access, we would encourage you to utilize the Catch the Comet app or the Transit app to pay for your fare.
So we're here to answer your questions. If you have asked the question and you didn't see it answered, please make sure that you type it in and we'll make sure that we answer it for you.
I guess I can go over the other stops that we're looking into at this moment in time, we're looking at Boyson Freed northbound. These are stops for improvements, enhancements, bus stop enhancements. So we're trying to prioritize either a bench or a 12-foot shelter or a 16-foot shelter. In some cases, you may see a semi-seat. But the list is as follows: Boyson Freed northbound, Knox and 12th westbound, Two Notch and Victory northbound, Forest and Sunnyside eastbound, Williams and not that stop, Beltline and Bluff southbound, Hardin and Laurel southbound, Broad and Greystone westbound, Assembly and Railroad northbound, Edmond Branch westbound, Sunset and Lucas eastbound, Gardners and Rosewood westbound, Assembly and Railroad Tracks southbound. And again, some of these locations may be in question, so we have to make sure that we go through the necessary permits in order to get final approval, but these are the locations that we are looking to. We also continue down the list. Divine and Camilla is eastbound. Maine and Anthony southbound. Clemson, Long Green is westbound. Gervais and Oak westbound. Two Notch and Evergreen. Laurel and Henderson westbound, and Forest and Lakeshore westbound. Hardin and Gervais southbound. Park Lane and Two Notch northbound. Charleston and Hart southbound. Beltline and Wither southbound. Broad and Heritage southbound. Broad and Penny eastbound. Broad and Huffstetler northbound, and Broad and Chaucer northbound, and Vernon and St. Andrews southbound.
Thank you. Another comment / question is, will we be able to pay a fare, or this is a suggestion, pay a fare by using NFC on mobile like Apple Wallet or Samsung Wallet?
Yes, we've been working with Passport and Transit to allow for that. We'll need to follow up with them to see if those features have been activated as of yet. So we'll report back to the ridership if those features have been added or not.
Eric Q asks, will the fare boxes be able to accept tap-enabled credit and debit cards?
No, they'll only be able to accept the Comet card.
And where do we get the Comet card?
You can get the Comet card at Comet Central, here at the Comet Operations and Maintenance Facility on Lucius Road, or through the mail.
Thank you.
For clarification, for stop 321, that was Broad and Pawnee eastbound.
The list that you just read off was which list?
This is the list of where we are proposing the next bus stop amenities to go.
So Walter Durst is asking, can we put that list on the website?
Yes, we definitely can consider that. I will provide that information to our marketing director. And again, I encourage everyone that's here on the live, please provide information as well, because we want to make sure that we provide you the level of service that you're looking for, and that includes bus stop amenities. So you know that there's an excessive amount of litter at the bus stop. We want to make sure we put a trash can in that location. We also want to make sure that we look into bus shelters and benches and semi-seats to make your experience with the Comet a pleasurable one.
So when you talk about semi-seats, explain what those are and how do we determine which stops have those?
Absolutely. So it's a couple of components to look at, but to just talk about what a semi-seat is, it's a small, you may have seen it throughout our service area in different locations, but it almost looks like a single seat, but you can get pretty much two people that sit on one side and another person can sit on the other. So it's normally a route that, bus stop that doesn't have a lot of ridership, but there's a need for a safe resting area as you are waiting for the bus to arrive. And as you provide feedback, we take a look at that location and see what is the most feasible outcome for what do we expect long term from this bus stop, and should we prioritize the semi-seat or the 8-foot bench, or are we just looking at a 16-foot shelter or a 12-foot shelter? So it's an array of different options that we're looking at, but this is how we determine how we wish to proceed. There's also performance metrics as well that determine which routes, which bus stop locations meet certain criteria.
Thank you. Will Ufsc transit stops be eligible for amenities? And will these be funded by Ufsc or the Comet?
Ufsc stops will be eligible for amenities, but those amenities are dictated by the university and will be paid for by the university.
Another Ufsc question. Is there any chance, this is from Mr. Durst, is there any chance that service could be provided to USC sports events or concerts once the pandemic protocols are lifted?
That is the plan under our current agreement with the university. We would provide service to basketball games, baseball games, football games, and events at Colonial Life Arena. It looks like they're going to be going to a full campus plan in the fall, so I anticipate that some of those services will resume again in the fall.
We have a question. You talked about transfers earlier. Can you explain the process of a transfer and what that means?
So the Comet system is in a manner to where when you get to a super stop, the route normally would transition into another route, or you can get off the bus and connect to another route to get to your final destination. So if you need to ride more than one Comet bus within a 60-minute period, you would merely ask the bus operator for a transfer, and then you would use that transfer on the next Comet bus that you ride. You can also use the Comet card as your ability to make transfers without having to ask the bus operator for a transfer slip.
So someone asks, where can I find information on HUT and VTrip on the website?
So if you go onto catchthecomet.org, click on what's new, and then click on mobility for you, you can find information about VTrip and the pickup program. And remember that these programs are only for seniors and persons with disabilities that need access to transportation that otherwise DART or the Comet can't provide directly.
Charles Gossett says, where he works, most of the stops look pretty clean. He can only think of one immediately that seems to be a continuous problem as far as trash. So we're asking him which one that is. So that we can address that.
Yes, please provide that information at your earliest convenience. That would be greatly appreciated. And I also wanted to go over the minimum daily boardings. So we're looking for a shelter with the bench. You're looking at an average of 75 passengers a day. For a bench alone, you're looking at around 50 passengers a day. And for a leaning rail, around 25 passengers a day. There is a little variance, depending on the severity of the situation and where the man is located. So we definitely take what you provide us into consideration and making sure we, again, provide the service that you're looking for.
So we have about 10 minutes left to take your questions and comments and suggestions. So please reach out to us within that amount of time. Tap in your questions and we'll be happy to answer. Following up to the response about the shelter that seems to always have trash, Mr. Gossett says it's Forest Drive and Personal.
I'm presuming that's the one next to the Sonic Drive-In.
Yes.
Okay. We will have our contractor address that.
Thank you. Okay, this is a good question. If you've paid for an all-day pass, why would one need a transfer?
So the transfer is really meant for people who have paid a cash fare and not purchased an all-day pass. The Comet card is programmed in a manner to where if you put money on the card, it will automatically shut off when you get to the price of a day pass. So in order to get to the price of a day pass, you just need to ride the Comet 2 or more times.
Thank you for that. And just for our listeners to know, this session of Ask the Planner with Eric and John will be uploaded to our YouTube site. Okay, we have about 5 more minutes.
Someone asked, will Umsc passengers still ride for free?
Yes, Midland Tech riders will still be able to ride the Comet for free by showing their ID card when boarding the bus.
Are there other colleges that have privileges to ride for free?
Yes, that is, in addition to Midlands Technical College, we also have relationships with Allen University and Columbia College.
Okay, so this is a question about the transfers. Is there a time limit on those?
Yes, 60 minutes.
Okay. So Eric Q wanted to qualify when you said Midlands Tech affiliates can ride for free. He wants to know specifically, does that mean students as well?
Anybody with a Midlands Technical College ID card?
Juan Portillo says he just wanted to say that this was great information.
Thank you, Juan, and I hope all is well in Manteca.
Okay, we have 3 more minutes left in our broadcast. So if you got a burning question, please get it in, and we'll be happy to answer you.
You want to add while we're waiting for some additional comments that if you ever want information on all of the Comet's routes and services, check out our website. It's very resourceful, has lots of information about our programs, services, and routes. And you can visit that at catchthecomet.org. If you would like to talk directly with me, my door is always open, and you can find my contact information on the website. Or you can reach out to me by calling me at 803-255-7087 or email jandoh, ANDOH, at thecometsc.gov.
Okay, thank you. So Eric Q wants to know, will high school students ride free after fairs resume?
Students that are participants of Richland 1, Richland 2, and Lexington Richland 5 can show their ID cards and can ride the Comet free of charge, unrestricted.
Okay, somebody has a curiosity question. He wants to know why some of the shelters are different styles. Like some trash cans are black, gray, and some have covers. Who decides the design standards?
I can start this off.
Okay.
Yeah, so, so originally we were installing Brasco style shelters. We have now moved into Tolar, and those are the silver style shelters, and they look a little newer. And so that's what we're prioritizing now. At some point, we hope to have everything uniform, but we want to make sure at this time that we provide the essential amenities in the locations, again, where people need them.
And it also be noted that shelters come from many different manufacturers, and even before the Brasco shelters were installed in 2013 to 2014, we had another shelters that were installed by the city before the Comet, and you generally will find those shelters in the downtown areas. Ultimately, our goal is to make sure we provide you with the best possible amenity, regardless of the style. But the recent styles that we got from Tolar, we did have a committee that consisted of Comet staff, City of Columbia staff, Richland County staff, and Lexington County staff that reviewed the designs and selected the more curvy, futuristic design of the Tolar gray shelter that we have today.
We want to take this time to thank you all for all of your questions and being engaged with us today. We really enjoyed you tuning in for Ask the Planner with Eric and John. Our next session is scheduled on Thursday, April 8th at 5:30, same place, same time, here on Facebook Live. Join us and invite a friend as well. Thank you for catching the Comet.
Bye.